Let me say this straight. You don't need more answers. You're avoiding responsibility. Because if you look at how you've been moving lately, you're searching a lot. You're asking, you're thinking, you're trying to figure things out, but you're not deciding. And there's a reason for that. Because the moment you decide, it's on you. If you choose something, you own it. If it doesn't go the way you expect, you deal with it. If it changes things, you have to handle the outcome. And that's the part you've been avoiding. So instead, you stay in the space where you can ask without choosing, think without committing, search without acting. And it feels like you're doing something, but you're not moving forward. You're staying exactly where you are. And I'm going to say this clearly because you need to hear it. You're not confused. You're avoiding choosing because confusion feels safer than responsibility. If you're not sure, you don't have to act. If you're still figuring it out, you don't have to commit. If you're waiting for clarity, you don't have to move. But that's not where your life changes. Your life changes the moment you decide. And this is exactly what June is bringing up because we're in Energy Body 6, your intuitive body, part of you that already knows the direction. And in a universal year 1, where everything is asking you to step into self-leadership and actually take ownership of your life, you don't get to stay in indecision, not without feeling it, that frustration, that pressure, that sense that you need to move. And that's not random. That's the part of you that knows it's time to choose. If you're new here, hi, I'm Cherry. I'm your spiritual life coach, numerologist, and energy alchemist. And on this channel, we don't just talk about growth. We call out the patterns that keep you stuck so you can actually take your power back. So before we go any deeper, if you're ready to stop searching and start deciding, hit subscribe and tap the notification bell and join this space because this isn't just content. This is where you stop avoiding responsibility and start owning your life. Now let's get into it. I want to start by making this real because avoiding responsibility sounds like a big concept, but it shows up in real normal ways. It looks like asking multiple people what they think you should do and still not making a decision. Watching video after video on the same topic, hoping something will finally make it click. Sitting with a decision for days or weeks, telling yourself you're thinking it through. Replaying the same situation in your head over and over again. Looking for signs, looking for confirmation, looking for reassurance. Anything that means you don't have to be the one who decides. And here's the part most people don't like admitting. It looks like knowing what you want to do and still not doing it. You already know what you want to say. You already know you want to say no. You already know that situation isn't right for you. You already know the decision you're leaning towards. But instead of acting on that, you hesitate, you delay, you tell yourself, I just need to be sure. I don't want to rush it. I'm still figuring it out. But if you strip all of that back, what you're really saying is, I don't want to be responsible for this choice. Because if you decide, there's no one else to point to, no one else to blame, no one else to say, well, they told me to do it. It's you. And that's what makes it uncomfortable. So instead, you stay in movement without direction, busy but not moving forward, thinking but not deciding. And from the outside, it looks like you're trying. But internally, you're stuck. Not because you don't have options, but because you're not choosing any of them. So now that we've got to the root and you're seeing yourself in this, let's talk about why responsibility feels so uncomfortable. Because it's not random. It's not that you're incapable of making decisions. It's that somewhere along the way, you learn that choosing comes with risk. Risk of getting it wrong, risk of being judged, risk of disappointing someone. And if you've spent years being someone who tries to keep the peace, avoids conflict, wants to be liked and doesn't want to make mistakes, then of course responsibility feels heavy because responsibility means you don't get to hide anymore. You don't get to say, I didn't know. I wasn't sure. I just went with what someone else said. You have to stand in your decision. And for a lot of people, that feels exposed because if it goes well, great. But if it doesn't, there's no one else to soften it, no one else to take the weight of it. And that's where most people pull back, not because they don't know what to do, but because they don't want to feel that level of ownership. So instead, they stay in the space where they can delay, they can question, they can keep their options open. Because as long as you haven't chosen, you haven't fully committed. And as long as you haven't committed, you don't have to deal with the outcome. But here's the truth. Avoiding responsibility does not remove the consequences. It just delays them. Because staying stuck is still a result of your choices. Not deciding is still a decision. And it comes with its own outcome. The same situation, the same frustration, the same lack of movement. So either way, you're responsible. The only difference is, are you choosing your direction or are you letting your avoidance choose it for you? So let's lay the pattern out properly, because once you see this, you'll start catching it in real time. It starts with a decision. Something comes up in your life where you need to choose. And in that moment, you already feel a direction, a pull, a leaning, a sense of what you want to do. Then doubt comes in. Wait, what if it's not right? Maybe I should think about it more. I should probably ask someone else. So instead of choosing, you pause. You start thinking it through, analyzing it, going over every possible outcome. Then you look for answers. You ask people, you search online, you consume more content, trying to find something that gives you certainty. And for a moment, it feels like you're doing something productive, like you're getting closer to a decision, but you're not, because you're still not choosing. So time passes, days, sometimes weeks, and the situation is still there, still unresolved, still sitting in the background. And that's when the frustration builds. You start thinking, why am I still stuck? Why can't I figure this out? Why does this feel so hard? But the problem isn't that you can't figure it out. The problem is you haven't decided. So the loop repeats. Feel, doubt, think, search, delay, feel stuck. And the longer you stay in that loop, the more it reinforces the belief. I'm bad at making decisions. I don't trust myself. I need more clarity. Not because those things are actually true, but because your behavior keeps proving them. And this is why nothing changes, because you're trying to move forward without ever actually choosing a direction. And it doesn't work like that. Movement comes from decisions, not from thinking about them. So let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't just a pattern. This is misalignment with the energy you're in right now. We're in June, energy body 6, your intuitive body, the part of you that already knows the direction. Not perfectly, not with every detail mapped out, but enough to move. Your intuition doesn't give you full certainty. It gives you a signal, a nudge, a sense of this is the way to go. And your job is to follow it. But when you ignore that, when you override it, when you keep searching instead of deciding, you create friction. That frustration you've been feeling, that sense of being stuck, restless, or unsure, that's not confusion. That's misalignment. It's what happens when you're not moving in the direction you already feel. And then we layer on top of that a universal year one. This is the year of self-leadership, of new identity, of becoming someone who doesn't wait for permission, but decides and acts and takes ownership of her life. So when you stay in the loop of searching, thinking, delaying, you're not aligning with that version of yourself. You're resisting her. And that's why it feels heavy. That's why it feels like something is off, because part of you knows this isn't how I'm meant to be moving anymore. You're not meant to stay in indecision. You're not meant to keep outsourcing your choices. You're not meant to wait until everything feels perfect. You're meant to choose, to act, to take responsibility for your decision, for your direction. So this isn't about needing more clarity. It's about stepping into the version of you who trusts herself enough to move, because that's what this year is asking of you. Not more thinking, but more ownership. So if you're ready to get out of this loop, this is where it changes. Not when you feel more certain, not when you've figured everything out, but when you decided to take responsibility for your next move. The first thing is this: make a decision even without certainty, because this is the moment you've been avoiding. You keep waiting to feel sure, but that feeling comes after you choose. So pick a direction, not perfectly, not forever, just enough to move, because movement creates clarity, not the other way around. The second thing is, stop asking for opinions you don't actually need, because every time you ask someone else, you delay your own decision. You hand your power over. So before you ask anyone, pause and ask yourself, what do I already feel is right? And start there, not with 10 different perspectives, with your own. The third thing is this: own your decisions fully, because this is where people slip. They choose, but then immediately start questioning it, looking for reassurance, second guessing themselves, trying to keep one foot in and one foot out. And that pulls you straight back into the loop. So once you decide, stand in it. Let it be yours. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's not perfect, because this is how you build self-trust, not through perfect decisions, but through backing yourself in the ones you make. And the final piece, and this is the one that changes everything, is accepting that you are responsible either way. If you choose, you're responsible. If you don't choose, you're still responsible. because staying stuck is still a result of your actions. So the question isn't, do I want responsibility? You already have it. The question is, am I going to use it to move forward or stay where I am? And that's the shift from avoiding responsibility to owning your life. Not perfectly, but consciously, because that's where your power actually is. So let's be honest, at this point, you can see it. You can see where you've been searching instead of deciding, thinking instead of acting, waiting instead of choosing. And now that you can see that, you don't get to hide behind, I don't know anymore, because you do know. You just haven't been owning it. So the question now isn't what's the right answer. It's, am I going to take responsibility for my life or keep avoiding it? Because nothing changes until you do. Not your confidence, not your clarity, not your situation. You can watch every video. You can understand everything perfectly and still stay exactly where you are if you don't decide. So this is your moment, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when you're more sure, now, where you choose a direction, where you take that step, where you stop asking and start owning, because you don't need more answers. You need to act on the one you already have. So if this hits something in you, if you're ready to stop circling your life and actually move forward, don't just leave it here, because awareness without action is exactly why nothing changes. So first, make sure you hit subscribe and tap the notification bell, because this series is designed to take you out of indecision and into self-leadership step by step. And second, if you're ready to actually take responsibility for your next level, you can grab my free Boundaries Bootcamp in the description box below. It'll help you stop people pleasing, set real boundaries, and actually follow through on what you know is right for you. And if you're done avoiding, if you're ready to make decisions, trust yourself, and take ownership of your life, then book a 30-minute strategy session with me. This is where we take everything you've just realized and turn it into clear, aligned action. No more waiting, no more circling. Just decisions, just movement, just you actually stepping into the life you say you want. So take a breath and then go make the decision you've been avoiding. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.